Hey everyone, welcome to the Clips channel. Did you know this isn't our main channel? Yeah, you should subscribe over and find our main videos and our streams as well. We also have a podcast that you can find wherever podcasts can be found, so explore the internet. See you there.
Holy shit, dude! Spy X Family's good.
It is. It's good. It's good.
Kyle just watched My Dress Up Darling. I bet it's horny. And then
My Dress Up Darling isn't horribly horny. It's cute.
On multiple lists of recommended anime to watch, My Dress Up Darling made all of them, and all of them warned, was like, it's wonderful, but also just, maybe don't tell everyone you watch it.
Well, what? No, it's wholesome. It's cute. They just need to kiss.
You can have heart and also be horny.
Yeah, but no, so you
Chainsaw Man's a good example of that. Chainsaw Man's a horny anime and has a lot of heart.
The horny animes are like monster, whatever it is, where the guy ends up in a monster house full of monster girls, or So You Lift Dumbbells, which is a hilarious anime, but super horny. And actually, you'll learn a lot.
Chat disagrees. Chat's on my team. I want an anime argument.
What? My Dress Up Darling isn't horny?
I want it.
She gets hot because she's wearing too much in the summer.
Just because there's reasons for it. You're one of those people who's like, I played Metal Gear Solid, and listen, Quiet wearing a bikini makes all the sense in the world to explain. She breathes through her pores, and that's enough for me.
Oh, is that why she's in a bikini?
She's wearing a bikini because they wanted her to wear a bikini.
Yeah,
let's not fool ourselves. And listen, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, you know why they put her in a bikini.
All right, well,
let's not fool ourselves.
What's the high school zombie hunting? That's too much. High School of the Dead. But no, Dress Up Darling is super cute. It doesn't belong on the list. That is disingenuous to group it in such an area. I'm insulted.
All right, it's actually been a while since I googled My Dress Up Darling, and you know what? It's rather tame on Google Images.
I don't know what.
It's rather tame.
I don't know what that E word is, but I didn't know.
You're not familiar with ecchi?
No, I don't know what that is.
How? What?
Because I don't label.
Really?
This is not like a stand, but I don't like label what I watch. I didn't know about isekai until this year, so I don't know
about it, dude. I know about ecchi in
what is it?
8th grade.
Who is what is it?
Perverted
it's just
anime.
Perverted? I thought that was hentai. Oh, it's like
it's like a degree.
Yeah,
of steps.
we worked there. We worked there. Okay,
significantly under hentai.
Oh shit.
Yeah. How? Because I was in all the art classes, Bert. That's how I know about it.
Because I don't like go to the internet and I'm like, mecha, horny. I don't need classifying words to divide up my enjoyment. I just watch what looks appealing, and mostly it's so I fell into.
I'm with Asakura in chat right now that says Garrett won an anime argument. Hit the like button.
Yeah, hit the like. It's the only way. Hit the like
it
button.
Doesn't happen often.
Too late. Garrett wins. I do know something about Silver's Y words. I think those are about people kissing, girls or guys kissing each other. I think.
Huh?
But I don't.
Yaoi?
Yeah, like Yuri, right?
Oh, I don't. Ooh, I'm not familiar with Yuri. I'm very familiar with Yaoi.
Yeah. I'm not sure which is which, but I know someone's kissing somebody.
Yeah, no, I'm very aware of Yaoi. You listen. Everyone's just one friend's sketchbook away from learning about Yaoi. That's it. That's just it. That's it. Solomir says, to be fair, you're now on a second monitor because of anime talk.
Rough. That's rough, buddy.
Ouch.
And with that,
I'm gonna save these super chats. Those are funny.
Hello, Eorzeans.
Well, since you paused,
okay.
I'm gonna read Vivian because
Okay.
it made me laugh. So listening to y'all talk about ecchi and hentai while I scrub floors at work is mega cursed.
Welcome back to the Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV, Episode 2. In the previous episode, we talked about the planning and the initial design of Final Fantasy XIV, In this episode, we'll take a look at the actual product, leading into the alpha,
Trajan Pro.
beta, and the
Little
launch.
font choice.
The dev team was obsessed with the look and feel of the game, completely ignoring optimization in the process. They added these flower pots right here, or I
They
guess
don't look
it's
that great.
technically a barrel. And one of these flower barrels had approximately 1,000 polygons and 150 lines of shader code. And that is the
Why?
same amount of polygons and shaders as a character model. Chuck 8 of these in a dungeon and you've got a full party with a fair amount of lag on the side.
Why? They don't look that great,
don't
right? Am I insane?
Even look that good.
Yeah. Where are all the polygons? Are they inside the barrel?
What are they being used for?
I mean, I guess there might be like little sticks below the flowers, but why?
At the time they looked at each leaf isn't just use a flat graphic. What are we doing?
Oh.
Why? There's lalafels on the inside of each barrel. Okay, thank you, Kara.
The barrels are super round. That's a good point. 2010, yeah, the barrels are quite round.
They actually do look quite round, but like a barrel is something that doesn't need to be round. And when you look at real barrels, they're
Yeah.
actually not that round.
No?
They're rather segmented. Oh boy. Yeah, they were ray tracing those barrels before ray tracing
Have you
exists.
seen my round barrels? And they're just like, oh, ship it, that's good.
But one of the game's greatest assets was its music. Once again, composed by famed
So
Final
true.
Fantasy composer Nobu Uematsu. It was
the demonetization villain himself.
the first time in a long
It's
time.
not his fault. It's the label.
The label that he went to, right? Because Square doesn't do it, or at least Final Fantasy doesn't do it. It's his new label.
Yeah, all of the OG
was
stuff
hard.
is on a different label.
to do a game's entire soundtrack, and the first track he composed was the theme for Limsa Lo Minsa.
Don't play any of it.
Uematsu
Don't play any of it.
It's
It's fine. It's fine. I'm sure Speakers Network
gonna be a-
figured out the right amount to play without getting demonetized.
that's true. Well, here we have subs. It'll be okay. We're gonna make it through. Theme song answers. Oh my God, they're gonna keep playing his music. Okay, let's see.
In America, 2 years prior to its release.
Okay, we're good.
The song would later become hauntingly foreshadowing for the events that would end the 1.x era a couple of years later.
Oh, I know that one.
The game's 5 playable races, Hyur, Lalafell, Elyzon, Miqo'te, and Rogadin, were directly based on the 5 initial races from Final Fantasy XI: Hume, Tarutaru, Elva,
Miqo'te has my
Mithra,
hair and it
and
annoys
Golka.
me.
Oh my goodness. I don't like this at all.
Why?
Because they're freaky.
The bottom cat person offends me.
Yeah, I think we improved.
It's like they have comb forward chops from their hair.
2002. Okay, but this is art. This isn't in game. Like you can replace my imagination with art. These are strange.
Yeah, keep playing. I
A
don't
few
want to look at
design
the bottom
adjustments to
anymore.
reflect the new setting.
That
In
Lalafell,
addition
not
to the main
Lalafell,
races,
stares
the
into your
developers
soul.
also created 2 different clans opposed to the single clan setup in Final Fantasy XI. However, just like in 11, some of the races were gender-locked, specifically the Miqo'te being female only and Rogadin being male only, which is odd, seeing as they wanted realism, yet failed to introduce both genders to all races.
When was male Catboy added? Was that not Realm
Was
Reborn?
it like a launch 2.0 thing?
Yeah, or was that like a Heaven's Word thing or something? How long did that take?
I kind of want to be a Miqo'te. Every time I
know.
spend more than 2 seconds staring at a Miqo'te, I'm like, want to be a cat
I know.
person.
Oh. Finish the run. When we replay a Realm Reborn, be a cat person.
Shortly before the game was announced, there was
Continuity.
still some on the development team that were worried. Tanaka and Komoto had a rather absurd vision for the game. They wanted it to resemble 11, but bigger and better, more realistic.
Thank you, Sleepless One.
They wanted more of what worked in 2002 than what was currently standard during development. They wanted less UI work, less information in-game, and a convoluted battle system. It would seem that Tanaka and Komoto, although being great producers and directors for Final Fantasy XI, were both ill-equipped and unprepared for the current
Oh,
MMO
I guess that,
market.
yeah.
Nonetheless, 4 years of planning and
Ooh.
development is about to come to an end. June 2nd, 2009. A surprising announcement at the Sony E3 conference sealed the fate of the game.
What the hell?
The game was to be launched in 2010 for PC first, then for PS3 later. This sent shockwaves throughout the gaming world. At the time, the safest bet would be a Final Fantasy XI 2, but here it is. Final Fantasy XIV. Alpha tests were slated for March 2010, and only Final Fantasy XI veterans could participate. And so the alpha opened in March of 2010, and it didn't take long until people started realizing that something was terribly wrong. The graphical bugs aside, the battle system was a mess. Look at this icon here. This is a skill timer. You had to wait for it to charge.
We got alpha players in chat right now. Holy shit!
Oh,
Looks
nice.
like a clever way to display a global cooldown, right? Wrong. You didn't even have auto attack. The most basic attack still had a skill timer. In addition to this, the massive bar at the bottom there was the TP bar. This bar had to fill up to use certain skills, and it would only charge if you were attacking a target and landing a hit. And get a load of this. The dev team decided to not implement forums during the testing phase. This was supposedly done because of earlier recurring issues with mistranslations related to news updates. So, they decided that instead of fixing the way news were translated to just, scrap the whole idea. So players were literally reporting bugs on unofficial Final Fantasy XIV forums and boards, so the devs could see it.
Now, to be fair, most devs use Reddit more than they use their own forums these days.
Not
so maybe
back then, though.
Yeah. Modern times, not such a big deal.
Yeah.
And this is where it starts getting both strange and interesting. Before the game's release, producer Hiromi...
So he does not look pleased.
Yeah, but, dude, just play the Arrested Development theme over this shot.
Yeah.
Tanaka made several interviews to promote the game, and he's not exactly the most energetic and optimistic producer I've seen.
Dude, you got a butt right
behind
you.
I've watched countless interviews with him, and not only does the interviews look amateurish and boring, but the way Tanaka is acting and responding to questions makes it seem like he either don't care or is completely oblivious to what the game he's producing is actually about. Look at this bit right here. This is an E3 2010 interview, right before the beta. The interviewer is asking Tanaka why Final Fantasy XIV doesn't have a jump feature. A rather basic feature in most games at the time. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 didn't have a jump feature. Pressing the spacebar activated the chat. So the interviewer asks Tanaka why this feature has been omitted from Final Fantasy XIV, and the translator doesn't even understand the question. So the interviewer elaborates, and
The main reason is because we don't think it's important to have the functions in the game. We don't need to have the functions in the game. So that's the main reason.
I mean, really the only weird part about this, and pardon me while I close down Gare for a hot moment, is why are there 3 pairs of sunglasses laid out so perfectly? That's the weirdest part about this video here.
We were really pushing 3D TVs back then.
Yeah,
Is that why?
What kind of serial killer energy
And
is
Sony
this?
made 3D TVs, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Because this was 2010, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, 2010 was when I went over to my buddy's house and he was super stoked about getting a 3D TV. And he was like, "Yo, play Crisis on this. It's amazing."
Oh, sick.
Actually, it was freaking cool. I will say it was cool as shit. But never need a 3D TV.
I think it's a little laborious is too strong a word here, but I mean, like, we're trashing on the no jump thing. It is weird, but I don't think it's a big deal.
To a certain degree, yeah. I don't necessarily think this is as big of a deal as it's being made out to be, but I also played Guild Wars 1, so,
Granted, like, coming from MMOs, like, jumping is something you do passively while you're moving around, so it's kind of an MMO energy thing. Kind of, it brings motion and people to the world, so maybe it is more important than I think.
I mean, I would definitely prefer to have jump.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because I don't want cheap things where, like, there's a ledge and I have to do 5 rooms to get up that ledge.
I think it's perfectly fine to use it as an example, as one of many examples of them kind of missing the mark here. But
yeah,
and
being out of
this one, yeah,
touch.
thank you. We're gonna be catching up on supers in between these videos. But thank you very much for the super chat. We'll read it in a moment.
Even if you jump around, nothing is going to happen. So that's the right reason.
All right.
Yeah, he laughs at the question. We don't need jumping. Oh. Tanaka made several claims during the interview, like the fact that he didn't want a minimap on the screen at all to make exploring more fun. Yeah, because what could be more fun than running around in a copy-pasted zone with no way of knowing where...
Yeah, immersion, but...
If you're making everything look the same, you need a map like that, or a waypoint or a compass.
Seriously.
Shout out Ragnarok Cave.
But maybe the reason Tanaka acted the way he did was because he felt the way most of the staff at Square Enix felt at the time. Final Fantasy is a cash cow, and the fans will line up for the milking. This was sadly somewhat true, but Square Enix was in for a rude awakening.
Well, that's the main thing you kind of get from the NoClip documentary, is that the original creators were egotistical, in a sense. They could do no wrong. They were veterans, and then we'll do what we want because we know better than the players.
The beta test period was getting close.
Where have I gotten a sense of unwillingness to learn and adapt from a Square Enix related communication recently?
Oh, weird. And laughing at questions asked by fans. What a strange thing to do. No one would ever do that in another.
Oh, I was talking about NFTs from the letter.
Oh, you're talking about NFTs. I was talking about Blizzard. I thought you were talking about Blizzard Entertainment. Yeah. Out of touch corporations.
Almost like. Sorry. I can't wait for Square Enix NFTs. Let's go. Keep going.
Date back from its original August 2010 target date, due to all the massive issues that were reported during the alpha test. The biggest headache for the devs was the flawed battle system. They had to change it somehow, and finding the right way to change it without having to rewrite the entire system proved difficult. The beta test was pushed back until September 2nd, 2010, 29 days before official launch.
Woo!
During the beta test, non-Final Fantasy XI players got to join in, and they quickly discovered that this was far from what they expected. Countless issues were reported, such as slow and difficult UI, graphical errors, and low frame rate. The battle system, which had been revamped, had replaced the skill timer with a stamina system, working as a light version of the skill timer. Instead of having to wait for the timer to fill, you only had to wait until the stamina had reached a certain level, and then use the skill you wanted.
Why,
Some skills used more than others, so it was pretty easy to deplete the bar and then having to wait for it to refill. The TP system remained largely unchanged, with the exception of the TP bar itself being placed underneath the hotbar together with the HP
GIF
and MP
of
bar.
Austin Powers. Oh no, now I've gone cross-eyed. That's how I'm feeling right now.
1.0 players remember to this day. They also introduced skill timers to skills and abilities, making it more strategic and akin to most modern MMOs at the time. However, most of these skills could often not be used unless you had built up the sufficient amount of TP or MP. Do note though that there was no actual global cooldown.
Why oblong slanted buttons? Why, Kyle?
Well, we played Heroes of the Storm, and sometimes you make a design choice, and you just stick to it as hard as you can. You got hexagons, and you're going to do them till the end of time.
Hexagons at least still link together in a block-like fashion because they have straight edges. You've got sheared ovals. Listen, I know it's 2000. This doesn't even look like 2010. This looks like 1992 AOL CD just showed up in my mail.
Yeah, no,
that's what this looks like. This doesn't even look like 2010.
I misread some icons in Warcraft 3, but they were still more fun.
Yeah. I mean, the game looks all right, like the gameplay, but that UI, oh my god, makes UI makes me want to gouge my eyes out.
I just don't understand the stamp. Like, why not just let me hit a button?
Players voiced
also, I want to stream about the serif font.
Yeah,
for everything.
You're digging that?
Serif font, and it's just murder me now.
Well, it looks like they got their mini map at least.
They did.
The devs, but the game was getting so close to release, they had no time to make any major adjustments. A few bug fix patches were released, but these were minor and did not impact the battle system or the UI. It was later stated from sources inside Square Enix that more time should have been made to fix all the bugs that were reported during the beta period, but Square Enix did not listen to the devs' plea, and the game was shoved.
So if I didn't play,
Yeah.
Go for it.
Ragamuffin's absolutely right. The hair physics are really good.
Yeah, there's some
There's some
amazing
things
motions
in here.
and stuff.
Yeah, there's some things in here that just like straight up look better than the game it currently is, but I'm sure a lot of that was lost in the pursuit of good performance.
Yes, avoiding the heavy taxation. I kind of get what they're going. Like, they want each battle with even a sewer mole to like be a strategic exercise. I didn't play EverQuest. Was EverQuest more along that lines, where everything you pulled in the world was going to be, an involved thing? Because MMOs nowadays, they're like MMO, like particularly World of Warcraft, it's about like grabbing as many things as you can and kill them all as fast as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I remember getting in the SWOTOR and they like intentionally had groups. Like you had to fight a group, and that I thought was fun and cool and different. But
it's an interesting choice. I can see
it would get tedious.
Yeah, that's the problem ultimately, right? Particularly in solo content.
Into release for PC on September 30th, 2010. The game's release was successful in Japan, ranking number 2 in the PC games charts in Japan, only beaten by Civilization V and ahead of StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty.
Ooh, Civ 5 was good.
In the UK, it debuted number 10 behind games like F1 2010, Halo Reach, Civilization V, and Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands. By November 2010, the game had sold 603,000 copies worldwide. But Square Enix had just made one of their biggest mistakes to date. Final Fantasy XIV was not ready for release, and it was starting to show. With no official forums to ask for help, confused new players straight up abandoned the game after getting past the opening cinematic. If they stuck around long enough to actually get through the main story, they would soon find that the main story was shallow and difficult to follow, as quest NPCs did not show up on the world map, and the maps had no icon descriptions of any kind. Fun! And it gets even better. The map could not be resized. It had to cover the entire screen, and the only way to move the map... Actually, if you haven't played Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 before, just think to yourself, what would be the easiest way to move around a full-screen map? If you thought click and drag, well, you're wrong. It's the logical buttons I, J, K, and L, of course. But wait,
at least it's in a lots of shape.
Let's take a look at our gear. How do we get to our gear screen? It must be a hotkey, right? Nope. Pressing minus on your numpad, hello Final Fantasy XI players, or simply clicking on the main menu button would slowly open the menu. From there, click Gear. And behold, the beauty of the gear screen. A true work of art. Everything had to be accessed via the main menu. Want to check your inventory? Menu screen. Want to check your link shells? Menu screen. And now comes the truly reached part.
The way the menu slides out, though, really elegant.
Yeah?
It's a nice little,
it's a
nice little rant animation. Yeah, it looks nice. That's well keyframed. It's well keyframed.
I already mentioned this in the comments section of my previous video. The fatigue system. I can barely explain this without sounding like I'm making it up. But here
I'm fatigued
goes.
just listening to this.
The whole system was designed to prevent hardcore players from leveling faster than casual players.
Oh, good.
That's how you know it's a good
system. People love that.
The system consisted of 8 thresholds, each threshold consisting of 1 hour of combat EXP. As you gained experience, you would slowly fill these thresholds, getting 100% experience until you reached the 8th threshold, after which you would start to get less and less experience until you finally reached the hard limit and no longer earn EXP. If you stopped doing combat or stopped playing altogether, the threshold would slowly start decreasing and you could start getting EXP again. And the thresholds were reset every week. In addition to this EXP system...
I mean,
if you told me to devise in my brain the perfect system to make MMO players as angry as possible, I don't think I would have landed on this.
So, I mean, like buy energy, like there's no way to counter it because it's 2010. Like they didn't have a cash shop.
It was just trying to keep everyone in line. I guess.
But basically what I see is basically we don't have enough game, so we're gonna stop people from burning through it too fast so they don't get negative everywhere. like Anka's saying here, like no end game. There's no end game, so they want to make sure you don't.
Well, I'm going off of how the video positioned it because I'm unaware of this, and they're saying it was so that you didn't get too far ahead of other players.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Oh,
For your physical level, 1.0 had a skill point system for your class level. The physical level gave you all the basic stats like HP, MP, battle stats, while the class system gave you skills and abilities for the classes you were leveling. And each class had its class level.
Kara.
These had their own separate thresholds, of course, so if your EXP threshold was reached, you could always start leveling your class level. When you reached your skill point threshold, you could switch to a different class and earn skill points there. And while you're doing that, the threshold for the other class starts decreasing. This is how you could learn cross-class skills in 1.0, by basically leveling the class level, but not the physical level.
Okay, that makes it a little better.
It's like they refused to delete anything from the document. It's like every time they had an idea, they're like, wait, that sucks. How can we fix it? No, don't delete anything. Just add new rules to make this rule not suck.
Well, now I'm picking up what everyone's putting down in chat where they're saying, listen, their public statement was they want to not let you get too far ahead of everyone else playing, but in reality, it was probably an intentional stall tactic because the game didn't have anything in that game.
Yeah.
So why would you want? Yes, maybe you know it sucks, but you don't want to remove it because it is the only thing standing between you and your players finding out there's nothing to do at endgame.
Well, and
hypothetically,
yeah.
I can understand what.
It's so.
I can understand that mindset,
and I totally get like the idea of well, we gotta stop no lifers, but at the same time, like sometimes in life, everyone in your family goes on a trip and you don't, and you get to enjoy a video game. And if that game artificially restricts you after you haven't gotten to play for a month, that's miserable.
Yeah.
They defended this by saying it made it fairer for casual players, as they couldn't compete with the hardcore players. So, while casual players get to catch up to hardcore players in their vertical progression, aka their physical level, the hardcore players who had already hit their threshold could progress horizontally with their class levels. However, the real reason behind the system became abhorrently clear. Final Fantasy XIV had no actual endgame content at launch. The only system fully implemented to serve as side content was, you guessed it, the thing we saved from the first episode, leaves. Leave quests were supposed to be this game's key feature, the thing that separated it from the others. Quests you could pick up and do on the go. With shiny icons with beautiful stained glass paintings in them, these would keep you occupied for hours, right?
Look how happy that Makote is doing
these. There
Don't
was
you
a
want to be
time
that
limit
happy?
on these as well. Great. Just
This
like in the
looks
current Final Fantasy XIV.
A commercial for prescription medication. Like, look how happy you can be. Ask your doctor if leaves is right for you.
Running along.
I did 7 leaves today.
Yeah.
And I haven't had diarrhea once.
Perfect. May cause I'm bleeding of the eyes, and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
Ask you if you experience heightened heart rate.
Take leaves if you had a leave allowance, and in 1.0 you earned 4 allowances every 12 hours, and could stack up to a total of 99. So, if you ran out of leaves, and still had several levels to go before another main story quest, which was bound to happen, because the main story was spread out real thin, you were shit out of luck, and had to grind mobs in the wild. Again, this was to cater for casual players that would pop into the game after a long time away, complete some leave quests, and then come back a week later to do some more. Unsurprisingly, every leave plate had been designed with great care and detail, and each leave quest type had its own corresponding look. There were in total 8 types of Battlecraft leave quests at launch: Diligence, Valor, Tenacity, Veracity, Wisdom, Justice, Temperance, and Devotion. 2 types of local leave quests for crafters, Constancy and Ingenuity, 2 types of fieldcraft leaves, Munificence and Piety, and 2 types of Grand Company leave quests, which you could only do solo, Equity and Promptitude. I will read to you the description of one of them so you can get a general idea of how the descriptions of these plates are.
Elegance!
Let's take this one. Everyone's favorite leave quest, Tenacity.
I like the art.
It is nice.
The Guild Leave plate portrays an Ellison archer riding a chocobo in a forest. These leaves always feature a monster that runs away, sometimes very far from his original place, and must be followed by the players to a certain spot, where more monsters will spawn and attack. Note that even if the fleeing target is killed before he reaches the reinforcements, those monsters will still have to be killed as well. Safe to say, 1.0 players learn to recognize the leave plates and select their leaves that way to avoid unwanted quests. However, should you fail a local leave quest, you could not abandon it. You had to get it replaced and then clear it. There was no option to discard a local leave. This was the only viable system currently in place at launch for players to enjoy, other than the main story and certain side quests. Or was it? There was a second system in place. Behests! These were basically just like leaves, except they would spawn randomly every 30 minutes, close to Aetheryte camps. And they would not require a leave allowance. Yay! There isn't really much more to say about them though. They were basically just large leaves with a level requirement and on a 30-minute cooldown. Oh, and they were open for everyone, so you'd often have large groups.
God, the animations are really fluid.
Goal. So I guess it.
What the shit is going on? Why?
Yeah, it kind of feels like I'm playing a legal document. Like,
yeah, there was no housing, right? Like there's no benefit to being really good at this game because there's nothing to do when you get to high end. So,
well, why would you even like, what was there to get?
Right. What would motivate you to play this game? There are no mounts?
It's almost like this video is doing a really good job explaining the issues with 1.0.
No dungeons? I get like wanting to be in a percent. So many of these ideas I get on paper. Like you're trying to build something immersive. They keep digging that hole.
Yeah.
It could be categorized as a forerunner to the Fate system implemented in 2.0, but that's stretching it a bit. So, basically, running out of leaves meant you had to either grind for a very long time, wait for behests to spawn every 30 minutes, or stop playing. Seriously, this game felt like it was actively trying to make you stop
Probably
playing.
the best option if you want to keep
But
your sanity.
oh, there is so much more. But that's all we had time for in this episode. In the next episode, we will take a look at the teleport system, chocobos, market wards, and of course the critical reception and the decline of the game. I hope I've improved from the first episode, and as usual, that you haven't died from boredom.
These are great.
If you're still breathing, give me a thumbs
you're
up
too
if you
humble.
enjoyed this and want the next part
Yeah,
ASAP.
these are really well made.
Yeah. Wow, dude.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
That's a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. I would have bounced off that game like immediately.
Yeah, I don't.
Kyle, when did you take your shirt off?
What? A while ago. Why?
I
I was showing off my lack of butt to the chat.
Oh, okay.
Now being portrayed in beautiful sparkles here.
Do I have a butt? I've never really looked at my butt.
I don't think your pants look like this. Let me see. What pants am I in?
Do I have just like shorts? Oh, here we go. I got some tights. Let's put some tights on. Do I have a butt? Yeah, I don't really have a butt either.
Oh wow, yeah. You don't really have a butt.
Yeah, more of a butt than you, but not by much.
No.
Not by much.
Thank you for the hot chocolate.